Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we have a surprise manga review of chapter 890, Big Mom on Top of the Ship. And I say surprise because, well, just about every source I'd looked into listed this week as a break for Weekly Shonen Jump. But hey, who's complaining, right? So let's get into it. This week the story is condensed entirely into a single location, as the Sunny is being torn apart by Big Mom in search of a delicious wedding cake. Except that Big Mom is noticeably weaker. Remember back on Whole Cake Chateau, she had the strength and mindfulness to easily block one of Luffy's Gear 4th punches. But here, she gets briefly bested by Jinbei's Fishman Karate. And by the way, there's a small panel in the bottom right of that page where Jinbei is punching Big Mom with Daifuku's reaction, which is absolutely priceless. But that just goes to further my point. With Jinbei being able to achieve this, and with that sort of reaction coming from Daifuku, I think it's quite clear that Big Mom is both mentally and physically out of form. With that said, it's not as if the Straw Hats were able to deal any real damage to her. As the powerhouse Big Mom is, she just gets back up after sustaining the hit and even recovers easily after being struck by Zeus's Black Lightning discharge. But the fact is, she is more susceptible to actually being hit. And I feel like this is going to result in some divisive opinions amongst the fanbase. I think that a lot of people are going to take issue with the fact that Big Mom is now vulnerable to some of the lesser Straw Hats. In fact, the few reactions I've seen so far are completely over the top about it. One member on Arlong Park even tried to, very poorly I might say, claim that because Nami, Brook and Jinbei barely managed to escape, it means that they are the equivalent of Big Mom's power, and therefore Whitebeard's power, and therefore once again, the three of them should be able to waltz into Marineford and cause the same amount of destruction as Whitebeard did. And like I said, I think these reactions are way too over the top and incredibly poorly thought out. I'm of the opinion that Big Mom's current situation makes a lot of sense when you just open your eyes and look at it in context. At the moment, she is rapidly starving to death, not in a fully functional mental state, and has no assistance whatsoever from her legion of amazingly strong crew members. She's isolated, weakened, and up against some very poor matchups for her particular homies. And yet, she is still completely unstoppable. The best the Straw Hats can do is temporarily hold her off, so let's not go crazy about power levels here, at least just yet. It just so happens that, as it turns out, Big Mom isn't the infinite powerhouse we all thought she was, and she has one exceptional weakness, being that once she gets into a food craze, she needs that particular food, or it looks like she could very well starve to death. Of course, with her raw power, she'll cause a ton of destruction along the way, but there's really nothing she can do if she doesn't obtain her craving. So with this in mind, I have a bit of a theory about how all of this will come to an end. I believe that Big Mom is going to continue to be thrashed, probably even worse than this chapter. I think she will end up at the point where she is literally about to die of starvation, and that's when Sanji will step in with the cake. And rather than take the chance to kill a Yonko, his pride as a chef will dictate that he feed her and save her life. And this is one of the few outcomes where I could actually see the Straw Hats leaving Totland peacefully. I don't think Big Mom is so insane that she would show absolutely no gratitude whatsoever for an action like this, and it could lead to some other benefits as well. And what I'm talking about here has to do with Nami and Zeus. During this chapter, Brook had a phenomenal moment of cutting Zeus, resulting in his involuntary discharge of all of his power. He then regressed into a teeny tiny cute cloud, and Nami has given him the option to either become her servant or die. So I love everything about the Nami-Zeus combination. He would be an undeniably amazing asset to Nami, and she might even be able to wield him better than Big Mom herself. The problem is, if Big Mom dies, then presumably so does Zeus. But if the Straw Hats were to save her life, then she may even be generous and grateful enough to give Zeus to them as a gift. I know that's probably a stretch, but I think it's been heavily hinted so far that this adorable little cloud is going to be Nami's new power-up, just as Luffy is going to gain experience from fighting Katakuri. Or maybe if she doesn't want to get rid of Zeus, Big Mom could create another cloud homie for her. But going back a bit, this chapter had some of the best comedic moments of the whole year in my opinion. Firstly, when it looks like Nami is about to get Zeus back on side by feeding him again, Zeus all of a sudden shocks her, and this shocked me. I could not believe that Oda finally allowed one of his precious female characters to actually take some damage. But rather hilariously, as it turns out, it was Brook being shocked the entire time, which was just fantastic. Then immediately after, in what looks like it's about to be a very epic second showdown, Brook comes face to face with Big Mom in a standoff. Then in a moment of pure gold, he asks to see Big Mom's panties, and the look on Big Mom's face is just a bizarre mixture of rage and confusion. And I was always kind of disappointed that Brook didn't do this during their first encounter, so I'm thrilled that he got the chance to bust it out here, against someone who is probably the strongest woman in the world. Now here's where things get weird though. Brook's entire plan was to slice Zeus in half here, which meant that he would have moved right between Big Mom's legs. So there's every chance that this perverted skeleton did actually sneak a look upwards during his journey, which puts a whole new spin on his line, "Alright, I'm done already." But the chapter ends with Big Mom riding Prometheus instead, and while he'll be a bit more difficult to deal with, ultimately I think he'll be beaten just like Zeus was. And that's kind of it for the chapter, but not it for the review just yet. Chapter 890 came with quite a bizarre colour spread, featuring a cast of many seemingly unrelated characters. For example, we have the likes of Mako, Fujitora, Mancheri, Inuarashi, and even the Minotaurus from the Impel Down arc. But when you look at things from the context of how this was supposed to be the first chapter of 2018, looking at the animals represented by the characters here very much align with those in the Chinese zodiac. So I'll go through those quickly. The 12 animal signs are rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. So let's start with the obvious ones. Luffy is definitely the monkey, Momo is the dragon, Fujitora is the tiger, Carrot is the rabbit, Boa is the snake, Inuarashi is the dog, Califa is the sheep, and Cavendish, or more accurately Farul I guess, is the horse. That leaves us with the rat, ox, pig, and rooster. For the rat, I can only imagine that it is Mancheri because of her small size and weirdly elongated snout. For the rooster, the only remaining character that matches at all is Mako, simply because he has wings. I'm kind of surprised that Oda didn't just use Bartolomeo as the rooster though. The ox is probably represented by Minotaurus, which just leaves the pig, and the final remaining character on that page is Big Mom. Yep, makes perfect sense. And that about does it for chapter 890. I think it was a pretty great showcase of the Straw Hats acting as a team, and I can't wait to see what the new year is going to bring us. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please do comment with your thoughts on chapter 890. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.